Hello, kindergartens. Welcome to lesson number 3 of our online lessons. Thanks for joining me this morning. I've got some friends to introduce you to this morning as we begin to talk about the different families of instruments. Now, you're part of a family, I'm part of a family, and instruments also belong in their own families. There are 3 families of instruments. So that's easy to remember. This is week 3 of online, and I'm going to introduce you to the 3 family of instruments. And then I'm going to talk about how you can create some of these instruments all on your own with stuff you just have around your house that are part of these families. So let's start first of all with our family. I'd like to introduce you to Petey percussion. And Petey belongs to the instruments that are called percussion. Now, percussion means that you actually have a rebounded sound. So all music rebounds, it echoes off of different things, and that's how music is created. But percussion is an instrument like a drum. A drum is probably one of the most popular percussion instruments. And as you all know, as we've done in class, sometimes we have used our sticks and we have hit the ground to create a percussion sound. So Petey reminds us of percussions, and he's part of the percussion family. So that's family number 1. Now, we also have another friend to meet, and his name is Waddy. And Waddy is part of the wind instruments. So that's pretty easy to figure out, because wind is when something blows. If you say it's a windy day, you look outside and you can see things blowing. And Waddy is part of the wind family. And so when you blow on an instrument, it creates a sound. This particular instrument is a trombone, and I actually have a real one in the room here that I'll show you in a couple of minutes. So this is Waddy. Waddy is part of the wind family. And then the last family of instruments we're going to talk about today is Sammy. And Sammy is part of the string family. Things like a violin or a guitar, or interestingly enough, a piano, because a piano has strings. And when you pull a string, it vibrates, and that vibration makes a sound. So this is Sammy, who's part of the string family. Now, I'm just going to take a moment and actually show you some of this real instruments. So, starting with Petey percussion, here's a little set of bongo drums. They're part of the percussion family. So if you played them, I'm going to put Petey down for a minute, and you can play them. That's the percussion sound. Now, Waddy is the wind family member, and Waddy would have this as part of Waddy's family. This is a trombone. And what you do is you blow here, and the sound travels all through the pipes, and depending if you move the trombone forward or back, lengthen or shorten it, it changes the sound as the wind travels through the tubes. Alrighty. And we have Sammy. Sammy is a member of the string family. Here is actually a violin. And the violin has strings along it, right, Sammy? And what happens is there's a bow, and the bow travels along the strings, and it causes the strings to vibrate and make a sound. And depending how you lengthen or shorten those strings, where you put your finger, that creates the sound. So that's our 3 families. Let's say it together. again. Who is this guy? Petey. And Petey is our percussion family member. Who is this? This is Waddy. And Waddy is part of our wind music family. And this is Sammy. And Sammy, let's make sure they can see you. You are part of the string family. Now, what I thought would be neat today is that we would actually talk a little bit about making these instruments. Now, just before you get too worried, let me tell you they're very easy to make. All right? So, if you have a tube of any size, and in my house, I always save the tubes from the different things like saran wrap or tin foil, and that creates a tube that we can use. A tube kind of reminds us of what we have in our wind. And you can actually blow through the tube to make a sound. All right? Now, the other thing I did is after I had the tube, I collected some elastics. And I love elastics. Elastics are great. They have so many uses, okay? And I took the elastics and I put them around my tube. And now listen. I made it like a string. So we have our tube, which is like a wind. We put a string, and then you can actually use your tube as part of a percussion. So this is a very interesting 3-in-1 instrument. Now I took 3 tubes. One was a parchment paper tube because it was a little bit longer. And then I had a saran wrap tube. And then toilet paper tube, I put a few together. And they can make different sounds because they're different lengths. So let's see if you can hear this. Okay. Now let's try the next size. And let's try the next size. Did you hear how the sound changes? When the tube was longer, it was a lower sound. As it shortened, it got a little bit higher. And as it shortens even more, it got higher still. So that's how we could make our own instruments. This one I actually added 3 rolls to it. And so if you started collecting toilet paper rolls, you could have 1, and then you could make 2 on top of each other, 3, and so forth. So maybe this week what you could do is start asking your mom or your dad or your grandparents or anybody to start collecting the tubes. Then you can put the elastics along them to create the strings. And if you even want, I put some holes in this. Listen. And you can make different sounds by doing that. So just by collecting some neat stuff, you can create an instrument that you can use as part of our percussion family, like Petey is, or part of our wind family, like Waddy is, or even part of our string family, like Sammy. So have some fun this week, create your own instruments, and next week when we get together, we'll have a chance to use those instruments and to do some copycat rhythm songs. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.